Welcome to the explainer. We hear it all the time, right? AI, constant change, everything's being disrupted. But does that mean everything we thought we knew about managing innovation is just obsolete? Today, we're going to put some timeless principles to the test against the powerful forces shaping tomorrow. By connecting classic theory with some brand new research, we'll find out if the old rules still apply.
So let's just dive right in with a question that honestly trips up so many companies. Do you stick to a rigid, step-by-step plan, or do you just let creative chaos run wild? It always feels like you have to pick one or the other, but the real magic, well, it happens somewhere else entirely.
Exactly. It's not a choice, it's a tension, it's a balancing act. And at its core, that's what innovation has always been. But as we're about to see, the ability to walk that tightrope is about to become the single most important skill you can have. Okay, so before we launch into the future, let's get our feet on solid ground. To really get where innovation is going, we have to understand its classic challenges. The absolute foundation of modern innovation management is built on something called the innovation paradox. And here is the key insight. The most successful innovators, they don't pick a side. They don't choose chaos or control. They figure out how to do both at the same time. It's all about learning to live in that messy, productive tension in the middle. It's about managing the and, not choosing the or. A classic example is this tension between what we call exploitation and exploration. On one hand, you have to perfect what you're already doing. Exploit your current success for all it's worth. But at the same time, you have to be exploring completely new, kind of uncertain territory for the future. Lean too far one way, and you become a fossil. Too far the other, and you might just fall apart. And then you've got freedom versus control. You absolutely have to give your teams the creative freedom to experiment, to fail, to try weird things, but you also need enough control to manage resources and keep the train on the tracks. Too much control just strangles creativity. Too much freedom, and you've just got chaos. This also perfectly captures that constant struggle between speed and certainty. Of course, you want to be first to market, to grab that opportunity, but moving too fast can mean you launch a flawed product. So the real challenge is figuring out how to be fast without being reckless. Okay, so we've got this classic balancing act down, right? But hold on, because a whole set of powerful new forces are entering the arena, and they are completely reshaping the innovation landscape as we speak. A really interesting recent paper called Fueling Innovation Management Research basically went out and asked leading experts, so what's next? They identified 5 key trends that are fundamentally changing the rules of the game. First up is something they call liquid innovation. This is about moving away from the idea of a project with a neat start-end finish line. Instead, think of a continuous flow of creation and updates, kind of like how the apps on your phone are constantly evolving and are never really done. Second, and this is a huge one, AI is no longer just a fancy tool for analysis. It is quickly becoming an active partner in the creative process itself, a collaborator, a teammate, or maybe even an independent source of brand new ideas. Third, the focus is shifting away from just making new products. Now it's about innovating the entire business model. The biggest disruptions we're seeing aren't just new gadgets, they're entirely new ways of creating, delivering, and capturing value. And finally, there's this major push for innovation to do more than just make a profit. This has 2 sides. First, creating public value for society as a whole, and second, making sure innovation is responsible by thinking about its ethical impact right from day one. Okay, so this brings us to the central question we've been building towards. Do all these powerful new forces make those classic paradoxes we just talked about obsolete? And the answer is a huge, definitive no. They don't replace them, they amplify them. They turn the volume way up. Let me show you what I mean by amplification. Let's take liquid innovation, for example, this world where products and services are never truly finished. So in this world of constant, fluid change, what does that do to the classic tension between sticking to a plan and grabbing unexpected opportunities? Well, this slide nails the new reality. In a world of continuous innovation, those rigid 5-year plans are basically dead on arrival. The ability to pivot and improvise becomes the most critical survival skill. And this isn't just for products. Think about business model innovation. You still need a solid plan for a new model, but the biggest breakthroughs are going to come from seizing unexpected market shifts. That classic tension between planning and opportunism, it just got dialed up to 11. All right, now let's apply this same logic to AI. This is where things get really interesting. Remember that classic paradox of freedom versus control?
Now imagine adding an intelligent, autonomous agent to your team, one that can generate thousands of ideas while you sleep. What happens then?
Well, the tension between freedom and control just explodes. You can give an AI incredible freedom to explore and generate ideas, but that very freedom demands an even greater level of human oversight, not to stifle it, but to guide it with clear strategy and strong ethical frameworks. This is the exact same tension that gets supercharged by that push for public value and responsible innovation. The freedom to create world-changing tech comes with a non-negotiable need for control, a responsibility to ensure that innovation serves society safely and ethically. The stakes have never been higher.
So let's bring it all together. What is the ultimate takeaway here? After bridging these classic principles with this disruptive future, what does this all mean for anyone who's actually involved in innovation?
This table sums it all up beautifully. The classic view gives us the how, the timeless tools for managing the internal tensions of innovation. The new research, that gives us the where, the future landscape where those same tensions will be amplified like never before. And that is the core message. A future filled with AI, liquid innovation, and greater societal demands doesn't make the classic paradoxes of innovation irrelevant. It makes them more central to your strategy than ever before. The fundamentals are actually becoming more fundamental. In the end, it's the ability to not just understand these paradoxes, but to thrive within them. That's going to separate the leaders from the followers. The question isn't whether you prefer freedom or control, speed or certainty. The real question is, are you ready to master the balancing act?